Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where we aim to answer your bike and tech and maintenance related questions. As ever, you can submit your questions down below in the comment section using the hashtag askgcntech, and Alex and I will do our best to answer as many of them as possible within the allotted time.
Let's go. Russell Cooper first, 827. How tough are carbon wheels? I'm on alloy wheels at the moment, and after I hit a large pothole, both tyres had a snake bite. Wondered how carbon wheels would have reacted. Thanks.
It depends from brand to brand. There's a whole load of different brands out there with different spoke counts as to how tough the wheels are built. One thing I think it's worth pointing out is that if you are a bigger rider and you're looking for a stronger wheel, it might be worth going for a gravel wheel, because the gravel wheels are often a little bit heavier, but the upside is that they're designed to be stronger and take more impacts. And a lot of gravel wheels in terms of the rim width are perfectly compatible with road tyres. So
I'm in complete agreement on
that's
that.
a good strategy to go for.
I would say, by and large, the same problem would have occurred whether you had an alloy wheel or carbon wheel. You would hit a pothole, you'd have punctured. But carbon rims are pretty blooming strong these days. We made a video highlighting just how strong they are, where you literally forced me to ride into a curb at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I sent you down the staircase of death.
The staircase of death, and I didn't die.
Nobody died?
All the wheels didn't die.
Yeah, they were fine.
Right, I think that's answered the question fully there.
Next question is from Ellis Rowe 6527. What tyres are best to use with TPU tubes? Most tyres these days seem to be tubeless and therefore presumably optimised for tubeless. However, Bontrager R3 tyres come in tubeless ready, and the non-tubeless ready ones are 50 grams lighter per tyre. But most of the brands seem to only be offering tubeless optimised tyres from what I can tell.
Well, you can use an inner tube in any tyre you like. You're not restricted. It's not like a tubeless ready tyre can't possibly have an inner tube put in it. If you're set on running an inner tube, it makes perfect sense to use a tyre that's designed to be run with an inner tube, because if you have a tubeless tyre, well, it's heavier than it needs to be, right?
It can be, and it can also just, the bead can be a bit harder, so it can be a little bit harder to get on and off sometimes.
Yeah, so I would say, whilst a lot of the latest tech and research is going into tubeless tyres, there are still lots of brands out there making high performance or robust clincher tyres.
But also, tubeless designed tyres work perfectly well with inner tubes.
Yeah, exactly.
So
There's no stress whatsoever.
Don't worry about that, yeah.
The weight difference is going to basically be pretty minimal once you've not got to do a tubeless valve, you've not got to do any sealant, so it's kind of going to balance out pretty close.
Yeah.
Freddie Energizer next.
Noob question.
I've got a brand new Canyon Enduro 7 with Shimano 105 R7000 GS.
Nice.
And I was looking for a chart where you can see what speed you can go with a certain cadence on what certain gear. So is something like that useful, or is it just a case of go out and figure it out? I would say it is useful to give you at least a vague indicator.
Oh yeah, no, I use them all the time.
But it kind of, until you know what kind of speeds you're actually going to be riding at, it doesn't really mean much. If you know that your bike has got gearing that you can pedal at 90 RPM at 30 miles an hour, well, if you don't really pedal at 90 RPM at 30 miles an hour,
I find it's most useful for the extremes.
Yeah.
So it's like, at what speed am I going to be spinning out? You know, at what speed am I doing 100 RPM and I'm spinning out?
Or at what speed and cadence can I not go any slower up this whacking great big climb?
Yeah. So it's pretty useful for that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's loads of different
But if you
charts.
just Google bike gear ratio calculator, you'll find the answers that you seek.
I love that. Go on, you go there.
Salvatore Magno next, who says, I want to use tubeless tyres without any sealant. Any problem with such a setup? In case of puncture, I'll put in an inner tube.
Well, tubeless tyres are not designed to be used without sealant. We were speaking about this earlier. There were, in the real early days of tubeless, a small number of tyres developed that didn't rely upon the sealant to work correctly. But since then, things have evolved, and basically pretty much all manufacturers have designed their tyres to be used with sealant.
I would say if you don't want to use sealant, just use a TPU inner tube. It weighs like 20 grams, and it's not going to impact the rolling resistance compared to using sealant.
Yeah.
And it's actually safe.
100%.
Whereas one of the big differences is people might look at car tyres and go, car tyres are tubeless in most instances.
Yeah.
And they don't use sealant, so why can't I use sealant on my road bike? Well, it's like the construction of a car tyre is completely different, and car tyres have a huge like metal wire bead.
Well, running the whole
car
way
tire.
through the casing.
Yeah, and they have it's a non-foldable tire.
Yeah.
Whereas your bike tires come folded up, and so that's why you need a hydraulic press to put the car tire onto the tire wheel when you go get your car tires changed.
Imagine trying to tell a car tire manufacturer they're not allowed to use a wire bead. They'd be like, impossible.
Yeah. So because it's that strong bead holding the tire in place, it creates that airtight seal and it works. But bikes don't have that.
I would say it's exactly what you said. Don't try to change the tubeless system. Just use an inner tube. Yeah. Next question is from Scott. They say a wax/lube question. Oh, these are the best. Yeah. If you're going on a long ride, such as an Audax 600 plus, can you either re-lube your wax chain, given that you're not stopped for long enough to apply a drip wax? Well, in the middle of a bike ride, you can't re-wax your chain because of exactly what you just said. A drip-on lube isn't going to have time to dry effectively. You can't exactly pull out your hot wax melt chain system.
Connor could, with all the gubbins that he carries.
But
he'd have that sorted.
So in this instance, correct me if I'm wrong here, I would say the best advice and best thing you can do is start with a perfectly clean wax dry chain, everything's set up, and then when you get to the point that you feel like that's all gone and used up, you're going to apply a good quality drip-on oil-based lubricant. That's what I would say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Silka Synergetic. But it depends on how long you're going to be stopping for. Mm-hmm. So, I found with a freshly waxed chain at the start of an event, easily in good conditions, if it's dry conditions, it's going to last a lot longer, easily getting sort of 500, 600 kilometres out of that chain.
So you might just about eke it out because they haven't
depending on how long your Audax is. Also, if you're stopping and you're doing an overnight, as soon as you stop, just have your routine of as soon as I stop, wipe down the chain with a microfiber, apply some more wax, and then in the morning, probably going to be dry and good to go. You'll be all right. But if you're only stopping for a couple of hours, yeah, you're right. The wax isn't going to dry in time.
Okay, Marlon Bonelli next. Hi, I've been into hot melt waxing my chain for about 6 months now and wanted to change the brand of wax I'm using from some off-brand Amazon stuff to Silka Super Secret. How would I go about doing this? I don't want to replace my chain, this is not worn down. Is there any way of decontaminating the old wax off my chain and then re-waxing with Silka Super Secret? They're saying they assume you don't want to mix the two brands together.
Just strip your chain.
I don't think it's a big deal.
No, it's not going to be too big a deal because most of these things are just the same paraffin wax. Where they differ is the additives that are put in them, and they're friction lowering additives. So, the Silka Super Secret has and that's why it's the dark colour that it is because of the additive. So, I think you'd be all right. Just do a bit of decontamination. You don't need to thoroughly clean it because it's been waxed, but use a bit of maybe chain stripper on there, give it a shake, give it a clean, bit of hot water. Yeah,
I'm just thinking what I would do if I was really worried about mixing the two waxes together, which I don't think you should be. Run the chain until it's basically all the wax is gone off it, and then just put it in some hot water to melt most of the wax off and start fresh there.
Yeah.
Done. Next question over to you.
William Toe says, hi GCN team, I'm running Cadex 42 and 65 front and rear disc rims. The spec says that these are optimised for 25mm tyres, matched up to the outer rim width of 23 front, 26 rear. However, the whole world seems to point out that 28mm tyres are more ideal for rough tarmac. Where I come from, should I then switch to 28mm?
There's a lot of variables here that we don't know. So the theory and some of the sort of research out there is that if you use a slightly narrower tyre on the front, it's a little bit better for aerodynamics, and then the bigger one on the back is better for rolling resistance, but the airflow's all messed up by the time you're at the back of the bike. But it depends what you want to prioritise, right? Do you want all-out speed? Do you want a bit of more comfort? So
I would go if you're saying you're riding on rough tarmac, 100% go to 28s.
Yeah, I wouldn't be using a 25mm tyre on the front pretty much ever unless I was doing a time trial on really good surfaces.
No, and you're doing criteriums quite a lot on really smooth surface.
And I'm still running 28s.
He's running 28s all the time, and he's been winning. So
I haven't actually won this year yet, but I have won in the past. Right, last question for this week is from Jonathan. They say, There was a time when I was getting 2 or 3 punctures a month, which was annoying and expensive. I then decided to try a puncture-proof liner. I've had liners in my tyres for over 2 years now, and lo and behold, I've only gotten 3 punctures in that time. The question is, am I sacrificing any precious watts by adding liners to both my tyres? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to increase the answer?
Well, yeah, you are. It's going to make your tyres significantly slower. But it's, swings and roundabouts.
By how much is going to depend on the tyres, the insert, what pressure you're running. But certainly if I was using my bike for commuting and speed wasn't my goal, I'd far rather get to the destination than worry about being stopped at the roadside.
But if you're doing a time trial or a race, take the liners out.
Yeah, get those bad boys out straight away. Okay, right, that's it for this week's Tech Clinic. As always, sorry if we haven't answered your questions. Be persistent, put it in the comments section down below, and then Ollie will personally pick that question out for next week.
And if you like a t-shirt that is big French bike ride themed, we have them at shop.globalcyclingnetwork. Right, love you, bye.
See ya.